don't know. I don't know if I've hit the button.
I'm gonna just. Oh my God, I don't like this at all. You hit the button. You hit the damn button.
I wasn't going
Oh.
to, but I'm sorry.
Hello, internet, and I guess hello, America. Happy birthday.
Happy
It is
birthday.
July 4th, as of day of recording. This is Say Report Jr. Believe it or not, we plan things sometimes. Um, but I'm one of your host companions, Zach Sarowick,
and,
and
and I am your other co-host companion, Dayle Decker, and I am a jerk.
it's gonna be really fun to figure out just how much of that was actually
Not
before
that
that.
much. Not that much. It's probably we're a minute in, so that was probably like
Oh,
the first
God.
5 seconds. Yeah, time moves fast. I looked at the thing. I'm like, this has already been a minute. I have no concept of time though, so
Uh,
you know.
so so yeah, it's 4th of July. I have done nothing all day because I had the day off. So I've gotten to sit here and render our brand new YouTube videos. We'll talk about that at the end. Um, but other than that, what have you done this week? And we'll go from there.
From me,
Yeah.
well today I had to work on 4th of July, but it's not that bad. I had fun. But anyways, I have seen a lot of movies. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, no, I saw. I mean, Devin talked about it on the last episode of Say Report, but we definitely watched a lot of sequels this week, but some new stuff.
Finally saw Incredibles 2.
Finally saw Incredibles 2, which I don't know if you've seen yet.
I haven't, but I think it's playing downtown, so who knows? Maybe after we're
Okay.
done recording this, I'll go
So,
down and see
cool, okay. So we'll be able to talk about that, because I want to talk about it, because it's The
I have not
Incredibles.
watched. I haven't even watched the first Incredibles in so long.
Yeah, neither have
that,
I.
like, yeah.
It's like riding a bike, though. As much as I hate saying that with a movie, like it really is. You know the story of Incredibles pretty much. It's
Yeah, no, it's not like
ingrained
I've
in our
forgotten-
brains.
Yeah, it's not like I've forgotten anything. It's just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it occurred to me how long it's been since I've
Yeah,
really
no.
watched one. But
I enjoyed it. But yeah, there was a lot of movies. We saw, I mean, going back 2 weeks ago, I saw Upgrade. I saw, well, we talked about Ocean's 8 to the limit, whatever. So I won't mention that again. But I saw Upgrade, which was really cool. Everybody should go see it. I'm just doing a quick rundown. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which have you seen yet? No, right?
no.
Okay. When you see it, we have to have a discussion.
The final line of
Um,
Jurassic World really made me never want to see anything with that franchise ever again.
Of We Rebuild,
or
something like that.
they're like, oh, we're a pack now, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
stick together or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, the really it was a bad delivery. It was a bad line. The whole thing. It's just,
Oh, We Rebuild is the end of San Andreas, but I love that. I love that. What do we do now? Look
Oh,
out!
well,
Look
now
out!
it's-
Look
oh,
off
God.
into the look off into the horizon. We rebuild.
You know that
Thanks,
that line's probably
DJ
also
John
gonna fit.
Dwayne Rodson. What?
I'm sorry. Hold on. I was gonna move on, but we need to talk about DJ and Rockdo Johnson. What was that name you just said?
I tried.
You tried to say
So I
Dwayne The
tried
Rock
to
Johnson.
no.
somehow.
I tried to be cool and act like I'm on like friendship level with Dwayne Johnson by calling him DJ. But then I realized
Man.
I'm not. And some people might not know what San Andreas is and might not know who DJ is. So then I tried to say Dwayne Johnson, and then I instead said Dwayne Rick Johnson. So I combined. It's not even Dwayne. I said Drain for Johnson.
Oh, man.
And then I combined Rock and Johnson. So thanks for pointing out my
I'm
little
sorry, I
word
couldn't-
mumble jumbo
was gonna-
wumbo.
I was
but
about to
they-
say that like We Rebuild probably will also be the last line of Skyscraper, also
Oh,
with
I hope
Dwayne
so.
Rock Johnson.
I hope so.
I like that. I like the concept of Skyscraper because it looks like they saw High Rise with Tom Hiddleston and went, "What if we made the building
Higher?
also evil and explosive?"
Oh, see, I've never even heard of High Rise, so that's
It was like a-
exciting.
Yeah, it was like it was like a weird like 60s mod sci-fi story that they made into like an indie movie like last year. Looked really cool. I mean, Tom Hiddleston always excellent, but it was like everybody's living inside these high-rise towers, and it's like a completely insular community, and of course probably stories about like class and probably doing terrible experiments behind the scenes and stuff
Mm,
like that. But
yeah.
so that was really cool. And then as soon as I saw the like the skyscraper trailer, I was like, oh, they just like were like, but what if The Rock and action
And Die Hard,
and Die
and
Hard?
slight hints of Die Hard that really aren't that slight. Um,
Ah,
like we watched Die Hard and then wrote the script for this kind of thing.
this is
Uh,
too intellectual. Hold on.
yeah. So anyway, so I saw that Fallen Kingdom, which is where this whole Dwayne Johnson story started from.
Right.
Which again, once you see that, I think we should have a conversation on
I
air
will see
about
it eventually.
something. Yeah.
I'll see it eventually.
And Devin and Siegen kind of dipped into it on their report. So it'd be fun for us too. But then I'm trying to think of all the movies I saw. Watched Top Gun for the first time.
Really?
What? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that,
Cried my
actually.
brains out. You've never
You know what's
seen
really
Top
sad?
Gun?
I don't think I've
I'll
ever
see
seen
it.
Top Gun. At the same time, I think I know why you cried your brains out, because it's
Everybody
one of those
does.
things where like I know everything I need to know about Top Gun,
Exactly.
which is probably why I haven't bothered to watch it.
I mean, that's how I was. Like, I knew the thing that makes you cry. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want a little kid hearing this, even though little kids probably shouldn't listen to this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want a little kid to listen to this and find out what I found out as a child, and then lived my half of my adult life. Not even half. I'm 23. Like, that's not half
Oh,
of an
God.
adult life.
Oh God, don't give me
Oh my
that.
God.
Don't give me that mortality to think about.
Anyways, but the cool thing about it is like you know what happens. You know about. I'm just gonna say it. Whatever. Throw whatever I just said out. You know about Goose. You know what? But I never knew how said thing happens.
Isn't it that the door doesn't open when he ejects?
No.
Is-
No.
Oh, really?
No. He gets out. You need to watch Top Gun.
I guess I do.
That's
I had like an idea in my head that like he hit the eject button and the thing didn't open, so
Oh,
he like
you need
cracked
to
his
nope.
skull on the plane.
So your assignment for this week, should you choose to accept it,
To find Top Gun somewhere and watch it.
Another Tom Cruise. Hey, if you have Prime, it's on Prime.
Oh, there we go.
I'm pretty sure it's just like you can just watch it if you have Amazon Prime. But yeah. So anyways, so finally watched Top Gun. I never even talked about this. Saw Euro Trip for the
Wait,
first
really?
time. Yeah.
That was a movie we used to watch in high school
Yeah.
like every time we
Yeah,
had
I
a
know.
party. It was like Euro Trip was what we put on,
Yep.
mostly because we really liked Scotty Doesn't Know as a song.
Yeah, exactly. So I grew up knowing the song and never seeing the movie, and then I watch it. I'm like, this movie's fantastic.
Did you know about the cameo then for that scene?
No,
And that
I
that was
forgot
Matt,
about it.
You didn't know that it was Matt Damon
No,
singing?
so the funny thing about that is I think somewhere in my brain I knew about that, but it didn't, because I've seen pictures of him like with a shaved head. And actually, funny enough, the day that we watched Euro Trip, they did a thing on IMDb of like Matt Damon through the years, and there's a picture of him in that, and I'm like, wonder what this movie's from. Wonder what this still is from. And I watched
was, like,
Euro
right
Trip, and I'm
after-
like, this is amazing.
Yeah, because that was like right after. I mean, that would have been around the first Ocean's 11, but also around what's it called? Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where he had his cameos with Kevin Smith.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
it was just like he was just like popping up in random stuff all over the place.
yeah. But so I watched that. Watched My Fellow Americans, I think, or Fellow Americans. I don't even remember the name. Whatever. It's Jack Lemmon. Moving on. And then Uncle Drew we saw this week. Fantastic. It was.
I don't know anything about that movie.
Good.
I have seen like I see ads and stuff like bits and pieces all over the place, but even they don't really fully explain what's going on.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
know. The only thing I know about it is that Lil Rel, I think his name is in that,
Mhm.
and he was like the breakout in Get Out. He's
exactly.
he's the friend in Get Out that's like super super funny.
Yeah.
And so like yeah.
So do you know where it's based on? Do you know where Uncle Drew came from?
I don't know a damn thing about it.
So this is all you need to know going into it, because you need to see Uncle Drew. mainly because it's basketball players, and you forget that they're not actors.
So it is actual basketball
It's
players in that
it's
case.
Kyrie Irving, Shaquille O'Neal,
Hey, hey,
and then
I've seen Grown
three,
Ups too.
and
I
then
know that Shaquille O'Neal is an actor.
and then
Thank you.
three other, and then fair enough. And then three other guys who I don't know their
This is probably the other
names,
part of that
but
is
it's
that because I'm
basketball
not a
players.
because I'm not a basketball person, I never
Yeah.
would have like that never would have connected
the
for me.
the main thing is like I really like Kyrie Irving just as a person. Like I've seen him. Like the fact. So Uncle Drew came from Pepsi commercials.
Okay.
It was a Pepsi commercial. So it was Kyrie Irving in this old man makeup. You know, he has like gray hair and like a goatee, and he wears like running suits. Like he wears just sweatpants and
Right.
a sweatshirt all the time. That is the character. That is the character of Uncle Drew. And there's all these stories of Uncle Drew being like this the best basketball player in the world and blah 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 blah. But these were Pepsi ads. And I don't remember if it was during March Madness or no, that makes more sense than the Super Bowl. So it was definitely during March Madness. Like what
That
however
would be
many
great though. We're advertising March Madness
Yeah,
through the Super Bowl now.
it was like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It probably was even just a year ago, but they were just so funny. It was so funny because they were like little mockumentary commercials about this fictional character who was now endorsing Pepsi or something. Like it was such a cool concept, and the fact that a basketball player like Kyrie Irving was like just so on board to put this makeup, sit hours in prosthetics, and just like make these commercials. And like it just seems like so much fun. Like it seems like they're having so much fun. Uncle Drew, they basically expanded that world and added more like classic basketball players into it. And it's just like it's so good. It has way more heart than I expected it to. And like I said, you forget with except for Shaquille O'Neal, who still isn't an actor but has acted. Um
Has been around and on film sets before.
Exactly. I mean, I love Shaq. I've loved Shaq ever since I was a kid.
I love that
don't
he's yeah, I love his
like
willingness to do stuff. Like I'm not
exactly.
gonna complain about him.
I
I just
mean,
think it's like really funny to think of Shaq as an actor
yeah.
in general.
I mean, the fact that in later years he um met up with Aaron Carter and they did a rematch video. Do you know?
I didn't know they did that.
Yes.
I know what you're referring to,
So
of course. Aaron
it's
Carter's
yeah.
The Day I Beat Shaq.
Yeah, of course. Which I could sing that whole song right now.
Of course.
I'm not going to, but promise me I could. Because I did it after we saw Uncle Drew. I put it on. Devin asked me to put on a song, and then I put on his song, and then secretly, as soon as the song ended, I played "That's How I Beat Shaq," and I just went to town. But anyways, but the fact that Shaq was so willing to be like, "Hey, Aaron, like we need a rematch," it's like you're the best. I mean, he's in Kazam. He plays a
Oh, God.
genie.
That's a movie I need to rewatch.
That's a movie
That's
I
a
need
movie
to
I need-
see. I've never seen Kazam.
He comes out of a boombox. That's literally
Yeah, I
all I
know.
remember about that movie. All I remember is
Um,
that he comes out of a boombox.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous. Like, but it's really cool when you see these guys, you see these basketball players having like real like emotional scenes, and it's like, damn, like you forget that they're basketball players and not actors. And it's like really nice. And you see in the spoilers for the credits of Uncle Drew, they do the behind the scenes stuff of the guys going into prosthetics, and it's like it's
Good.
impressive.
That's great.
It's impressive.
This whole thing feels like a movie that would have come out in the late 90s
Oh.
or like early 2000s,
Yeah.
which I love. Like I wish we would do more goofy shit like that. Like they don't make SNL movies anymore like they did with like Wayne's World and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah, or
half of them
Blues
were
Brothers.
terrible, but
Yeah.
yeah, most of them were terrible, but they were or passable or mostly made to play on Comedy Central at some point. It's like, but like I miss that feeling. Like even Space Jam. Space Jam is great for
Oh
having
yeah.
those guys in it, even though like half their lines are mumbled and I all I remember is Charles Barkley praying to never date Madonna again if he got his groove back. Like I miss when we would do goofy stuff like that because these days cameos are like I'm trying to think of like the Entourage movie like built itself on having a bunch of like one-off cameos and that's nowhere near as fun as doing something like this
Disagree.
where it's like if you want to think about movies today with like celebrity cameos are the Entourage movie, and they're not Space Jam anymore, is what I'm
I love
saying.
the Entourage movie though. I've never seen the show, but that
Oh my God,
movie is
that has to be
so
that has to be the
dumb.
most confusing thing, or maybe not. Maybe it's just completely disconnected. The most I remember about hearing about the Entourage movie is that it takes place like less than a year from when the series ended, which was years ago. So that movie takes place in like 2012, even though it
Yeah.
came out 2016 or whatever. And also, like the end of that show was him getting like married, and then in the 9 months up to when the story starts for the Entourage movie, he's divorced again or
Yep.
something. Like,
I love the Entourage. Going into it, knowing nothing about the characters, it's so enjoyable, which is crazy. If that movie is on, I'm watching it. I don't care what. I don't care what part it's at. I don't care if it's in the middle. I will watch that movie and I will watch it to the end. It's I don't know why. I don't know why I love it so much. I just do.
oh man.
But so the big thing that I wanted to talk about that happened recently, happened last night.
Yes, with a very strange set of text messages, I might add. Very mysterious messages about this, about what was going on.
what texts might those be?
I just get this message that's like, "Oh my God, there's children in the first purge." It's like, okay. It's like this. I need a new movie theater. These people are just not following the guidelines. Children shouldn't be in this movie. All I could think of was when I went to go see Deadpool and like I was sitting and then a family walked in with like 8 kids under like 13 and I got up and I moved because I was not going to sit near them when that
Smart.
movie went. Yeah.
Smart. That's a good choice, my friend.
I was like, you know what?
Good
I
choice.
bet this movie would be just as good about 8 rows back. And I just got up and walked.
Nice. Um
So what happened?
okay. So I freaking love the Purge movies. Devin and I freaking love the Purge movies. Okay? So we were like, there's a new Purge movie coming out. We're seeing it day one. Like, we are seeing it. No doubt about it. We are seeing this movie. So we go. I get home from work. We leave. Go to the theater. Go to our local theater, which has been dropping the ball a lot lately.
That's what it sounds like. It seems like the last like few episodes of Say Report has just been Devin just upset with
They're
the
just
movie theater.
it's also kind of the chain. It's the chain too. I don't because another one of those theaters turns on the lights during the last 5 minutes of the movie, and it's like,
Oh
what
God.
the hell is wrong with you? There's still movie happening. Please stop. That happened during Upgrade. It happened to Devin and it happened to me because we didn't see it together. We saw it on 2 separate occasions. Very, like, spaced out, too. And it happened to
Man.
both of us in the
Sounds like
same
one
spot.
sounds like one really overzealous usher
Yeah,
wants to get his job
it was
done.
bad. But, so anyway, so we go to the theater. And we're all happy. We're like, yeah, Purge, woohoo. We don't go to the ticket, the seller, whoever.
We don't buy tickets, we sneak in.
No. So we go to the ticket kiosks because there was
Right.
a line, and we
Right.
didn't want to wait in line. We wanted to get our seats and everything. So we go to the kiosk and we buy our tickets. And on the ticket it says first Purge Theater 5. We know that theater like really well, like back of our hands. So we go straight to Theater 5. Devin gets in there before me. And that's fine. I go, get my ticket right. I'm walking down the theater. And I walk into the theater, and I can hear the How to Train Your Dragon trailer. Which, side note, watch that trailer. As soon as it started, I started bawling my eyes out because I am so excited. It was a mixture of sheer happiness, like just like sadness because it's probably going to be the last one. But anyways, when I saw Incredibles 2...
I love, by the way, that Hiccup's model doesn't seem to have changed. They just added a
Nope.
beard to
Yep.
it.
Exactly.
So it's like, so he still looks like a
And
10-year-old, but
and
with
some
a
more hair.
Yeah.
On his head. Yeah, so anyways, side note. But we had just seen Incredibles last week. And so I walk in and I'm like, why is the How to Train Your Dragon trailer playing? Like, I can hear the music. I hear the theme song for How to Train Your Dragon. And I walk in and it's only Devin in the theater. And I look at him and I'm like, and I look around confused off of my ass.
So this was like the trailers had started. This was not like
so
just pre-theater.
Yeah, no. And
rigmarole stuff they usually do.
Yeah,
that would have been my first thought.
That's what I thought at first. I was like, this is too trailery to be just
be commercially behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly,
and stuff
exactly.
Right.
So I walk up to him, and our movie was at 7:15. The first Purge was at 7:15. So no way that trailer should be starting or playing, you know? So I walk up to him, and I don't sit down, and I'm like, why are trailers playing? He's like, I don't know. This was playing when I got in here. And I'm like, is it a trailer or is it a behind? I asked him, I'm like, is it behind the scenes? Is it a front and center thing? What's going on? And then another trailer for Hotel Transylvania 3 plays. And I'm like, this is not correct.
Although it would be a really great experiment to mess with an audience and be like, we're going to play a bunch of kids trailers before a horror movie. That would be great.
Which I thought, I was like, maybe they just messed up the trailers, but at the same time, the trailers would not be playing for a 7:15 movie. Like, the trailers start around 7:15. Like, that is when the trailers
that's
start.
When the trailers start.
Like, there's no way. I'm like, maybe they just screwed up. Whatever. I wouldn't put it past them. So then Devin's like, why don't you go ask somebody? And I'm like, yeah, I'm already on it. So I go out, I see one of my friends had recently got a job there, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And I explained it. I'm like, the Incredibles 2 trailers are playing in 5, but it's supposed to be The Purge. Those aren't the kind of trailers that should be playing before The Purge. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not really sure. Like, on my paper, it actually says Theater 12. So I was like, oh, okay. But he's like, but they don't match up all the time. And I was like, okay.
Confident feeling.
And then he got yelled at, and I felt bad. So we parted ways. So then I went up to the kid with the ticket taker, and I was like, hey, I just need to ask you a question. I'm trying to see First Purge, and my ticket says Theater 5. James, whatever. I just said his name. His paper says
James Jernson.
Yeah, exactly.
James DJ Jernson.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it doesn't matter about saying names, but whatever. His paper says Theater 12. What do you have? I'm like, the Incredibles 2 the exact trailers for Incredibles 2 are playing, and that's not correct. Those are not the trailers you should be showing before the Purge.
I'm sorry. I like the fact that you know what would be playing on its way up, leading up to Incredibles 2. Not that a trailer for Incredibles 2 is playing. No. These are the trailers that are playing before Incredibles 2 begins. I'm about to see Bao for a third time. What's going on here?
Fair enough. So, listen, I got good memory for kids' movies. Anyways, so I'm like, I just want to make sure that we're going to. I don't want to miss my movie. Like, I kind of want to see my movie. So what do you have? And he's like, yeah. So Purge, it's in 5. And I'm like, but here's the problem. It's
Again.
at 7:15, and the trailers are already playing, and they are kid movie. And I explain it. I'm like, they are kid movie trailers. And he's like, what? What? The trailers are already playing? And then there's the Incredibles trailers? And I'm like, yes. where is The Purge playing? He's like, Theater 5. And I'm like, no, it is not. It clearly isn't. So he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, my thing says 5, but the paper says 12, so I don't know. And I'm like, God damn it. I don't want to talk to the management here, but I'm gonna. So I walk over to the customer service, and I'm standing there, and this other guy walks up. He goes over to the bar. Like, this is what I'm watching. I'm watching all these people in line, and I'm like, I just want to see if I miss my movie, I'm leaving, because I'm not missing the beginning of this movie. I'm not doing it. So I'm like watching people buying their tickets, like kids running around. I'm like, I hope those kids go to the right movie. And this guy is at the bar, and he's asking the girl over there, if he could speak to a manager. And then she looks at me, and she's like, do you need a manager too? And I didn't even tell Devin about this, but I said yeah. But I think the way I said yeah, I didn't I didn't mean to sound like a bitch or look like a bitch, but I think it was perceived that way.
It's very hard to ask to speak to a manager in any capacity without looking angry in some way. I mean, that's the thing.
But it's like, I feel like I said it. I know how my face was. Like, I said it with a smile, but I was just like, yeah, I do. Because like I was trying to stay calm, and she like made a face at me, and I'm like, bitch, I don't need this. I was not trying to be rude, and now you're being rude to me. I'm done. I just want to see my movie. So the guy comes over, and he's like, hey, I just need to ask about hiring for my son. And I was like, okay, why are you telling me this?
I thought you were gonna say he came out of Theater 12 and wanted to know why The Purge had started playing and his Incredible 2 showing.
No. So he was like, I just need to ask about hiring for my son. And I was like, okay. And all this time, I'm like, I'm texting Devin. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Where are you? So then the manager comes out, and he's like, and the guy's like, do you mind if I just ask? And I was dumb, and I said yes. But it's a good thing I said yes, because my thing became a huge freaking process. So the guy asks, yells at his son for coming out of line and walking over to his dad. So that was fun. And I'm like, yeah, you're trying to get this kid a job, and you're yelling at him in front of the management. Good job.
To be fair, from the sound of the other employees, he still would fit right in.
I mean, so it comes my turn, and I'm like, hi, I'm trying to see the first Purge. It says it is in Theater 5, but the trailers for Incredible 2 are already playing. The movie is supposed to be at 7:15. It is 6:55. One of your employees told me that his paper says it was in Theater 12. I'm just trying to find where this movie is playing, because it's clearly not in Theater 5. And she's like, what? Let me see your ticket. I was just really rude to her voice, because that was not what her voice sounded like at all.
Let me take 2 seconds here real quick and be like, we understand that, especially in customer service industries, you can have a long day and things are confusing, and it's not always one person's fault over another, and usually it's a lack of communication that creates this sort of thing. But also, stressful time for the customer just is what it is.
Oh,
so
yeah, it really is. I mean, we've both worked in retail, and it's
we both work retail. I currently work customer service. Like that, it's just like, I mean, it is what it is. We're not doing this to be
rude.
This is specifically about this one. Yeah, this is specifically about this one day, and people just didn't seem to be on their A game. Now back to the funny voice manager.
So anyways, she was just like, she doesn't even have a funny voice, but she's like, well, we were having projector problems, but let me see your ticket. And I give her my ticket, and she's like, yeah, it says it's in Theater 5. Well, it's in Theater 5.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, but it's not. The trailers are already, and I had to explain this like 5 times to her. And I was like, the trailers for Incredibles 2 is playing. The movie has probably...
Follow me into the theater and just look at the screen.
Yeah, I'm like, the movie has probably already started at this point. It was a 7:05 showing of Incredibles. And so she like looks at her tablet, And she's like, oh, well, it says it's in 5. But you know what? We were having projector issues today, so maybe something happened. Give me a second. So she walks over, she grabs a paper, and she's like, yeah, first purge. It says it's in 12. I'm like, I just told you that. I just told you that's what the paper said. And she's like, oh, this isn't what? She's like, but your ticket says 5, so it's in 5. And I'm like, it clear. Oh my God, I'm not doing this again. So then she finally calls on the radio. She's like, I need an usher. She's like, hey, can someone tell me what theater the first purge is playing in right now? And someone over the walkie-talkie says Theater 12. He says that. He says the first purge is in Theater 12 at 7:15.
Man.
And she's like, no, but I need someone to go over to Theater 5. It's supposed to be in Theater 5. I need someone to go over to Theater 5 and see what is playing. And the guy was like, The Incredibles is playing. And she's like, no, I need someone to go there and tell me.
Okay.
And I was like, what the hell is happening? And she's like, and I need someone to go to Theater 12 and tell me what movie is playing. And I'm thinking to myself, no movie is playing because the purge hasn't started yet because it starts at 7:15.
I'm looking at a behind-the-scenes thing for Uncle Drew. I don't know what to tell you, everybody.
Like, it hasn't even started. And she's like, I need something. It was like, I was standing there for like 10 minutes. And finally, I even told her, I'm like, can I just go to Theater 12, please? And she was like, well, I don't want to send you to the wrong theater. And I'm like, oh my God.
You already did.
Oh my God.
You
did. Already, like, I just want to go, oh my God. And then I was like, someone over the radio says that, and I'm like, if you have kids in there, you should. And she was like, I need to know what's playing in there because I think kids are about to see First Purge. And I'm like, this is starting to become hilarious because Jesus Christ.
Did you hear? You know what this is reminding me of? Did you hear about? I don't remember if it was Peter Rabbit or something else.
I know
when
Finding Dory happened.
They played the Hereditary trailer before like a showing of Peter Rabbit somewhere.
Oh God. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, here's a trailer where Toni Collette is like smashing her head on a desk.
Yep.
Before Peter Rabbit shows. That's all I can think of right now. It's just a bunch of kids just completely just blank face. Like what is this?
It's the kind of thing that you hear about happening, but you never like expect someone to be that dumb. You don't expect
a
theater to be that
episode is what it is.
I mean, but it's like one of those movie theater like projection jokes that get told, and it's like, but it actually happened. So then she's like, okay, so it's in Theater 12, and I'm like, thank you, that was already answered. I'm done. Goodbye. So Devin gets over to Theater 12. I see him walk into the theater. I start walking down the hallway. He immediately walks out of the theater, and I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening? And he's like, the Jimmy Fund ad is playing. That means the movie is about to start. That means the purge is about to start, and there are children in there. And I was like, my God. So
at this point, I would have just marched in there and been like, this is the first purge.
I was about to. So we walk in there. Devin's in front of me, and I start to walk around Devin to stand in front of everybody and be like, if you are here for Incredibles 2, you need to leave because this is the first purge. Incredibles 2 is in Theater 5. Thank you. But before I could even do that, an usher comes up. Another usher that I already talked to. I talked to 3 ushers. I talked to 4 ushers. And this guy, he comes in and he makes that exact announcement that I just said, that I just scripted. The entire theater, except for 2 people, got up and left.
And I like to think that those 2 people were just like, Incredibles 2 already started. You want to watch this instead?
No,
sure.
They were there for the purge.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. And it's like Devin and I were standing in that little area where like you walk in, and I looked Devin, and like all these people are walking by, and I'm like, The Incredibles has already started, you guys. It's already about 10 minutes in, just so you know. which you've missed Bow, but you've
I was gonna
also
say how
missed
much of
like
that was Bow, but does that only like 7 minutes? So they missed like the beginning of the
yeah,
movie. Okay.
probably. I don't know. Like
Damn.
they've missed part of The Incredibles. They have. They've missed part of the movie that they paid to go see. So then Devin and I go in, and it's like, this is ridiculous. And I was like so upset because you guys almost just showed a bunch of kids a movie
An R-rated horror
an
film. Like, come on.
R-rated psychological horror film. Yes, some parents don't care, but you would have had at least a lawsuit or two on your shoulders. Okay? But then so I start to calm down, Devin's calming down, and then people start coming in and we're all joking about it. Everybody in the theater. So like it's good. It's a good experience cuz we're all laughing, like we're all in a good mood. And then the movie starts and the Halloween trailer plays. So it's like, even if these people were in here, they still would have seen a Halloween trailer. And like, someone would have been, this is a little messed up. I don't think anyone would have left, though. I really
no, they
don't.
Gone, oh, that's weird. They must have mixed up the trailers.
Exactly.
And then sat there until the movie started.
But it's like, God. Also, the Halloween trailer was the only trailer that played, and then it was immediately the movie, which was fantastic. But like,
they must all both be Lionsgate. That must be the only other thing they have really horror coming out this year.
I think so, yeah. Or Blumhouse. It's also Blumhouse.
Is it Blumhouse?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. It is.
Yep. But yeah, so that was my craziness last night. That was probably like the craziest thing that I can remember happening in a theater recently. And it's just like, guys, come on. You gotta, if you know you're having projector problems, you need to like be double checking, triple checking, to the point of quadruple checking that you have the right movies in the right theaters and that your system is correct. And if it's not, you need to have signage. And then after we left, sure enough, there was a sign on the door that said Incredibles 2 is in Theater 5 at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, and especially once we've moved on to digital projection, which means that presumably they're computer files they're sending around.
Yeah.
I don't know how you make that. I don't know. I don't know enough about the process to like judge it, but I just like all I can think is like, how do you make that mistake?
Yeah. I just it was crazy. It was and then the first Purge was fantastic. So like it was a good night, but it just man.
You had to get to it first.
Exactly.
You had to pay a steep tax to get into that.
Yep. But yeah, it was funny. And I was
man.
just like, my God, if I cuz like we were slightly prepared to sit in the theater and like see what movie started when we saw the How to Train Your Dragon. But if I hadn't been like, why is How to Train Your Dragon playing? And if Devin hadn't been like, you wanna, and I'm like, yeah, I'm already on it. Like, I'm already going to talk to an usher. If Devin and I hadn't, like, seen The Incredibles 2 or, like, knew how trailers worked, that would have been a really bad situation for a lot of kids.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. So, First Purge was good, though. That's a franchise I keep wanting to go to. It's unfortunately not like easily available. Like it's rentable, so I'll probably end up renting it and watching it. But it's not like streaming, unfortunately.
No, there's also, just so you know, I mean, I don't know how much you want to pay for a movie without knowing that much about it, but they do have a 3-pack of Purge, Purge 2, and Purge Election Year.
So here's my thing about that, which is just a weird quirk on me.
I think I
just hate buying movie sets when there's others that go with it. And so it's like I could buy the first 3 Purge movies in a set, and then I still have to go buy the 4th one to go with it.
No, I got that.
That annoys me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it annoys me because like my Scream collection is like that because there is no like full set of all 4 Scream movies. There's a really nice set of the original 3 Scream movies and a bunch of behind the scenes stuff they did. But then I had to buy 4 separately, and every time I look at it, I scream internally. So
nice. I like what you did there.
I didn't even mean to do that. I was just like,
Well, you did, Zack. So there you go.
Yeah. So like one day they will stop making Purge movies. well, who knows? It's Bloomhouse. They won't. They'll just keep
Well,
going.
well, on that, they're doing. I don't. This is known. This is common knowledge. Not common knowledge, but this is known knowledge. They're doing a 10 episode series on
I
USA.
heard about that.
Yep.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, it was really weird. There's a bumper for it. Not a bumper. There's basically a commercial for it in the middle of the credits of the first Purge.
Oh, that's funny.
Like of the most recent Purge that I saw last night, not the first
Right.
Purge movie.
Oh God. Yeah.
Which that
Oh, those
confused
prequels.
my. We accidentally confused our mom about that. Because we
I
were
have no
like, oh yeah, we saw the first Purge, and she's like, oh, are you guys seeing the new one tonight? And we were like, oh, the stupidity of a name. Why would you guys do that?
It's our
It's
fun
like,
little vaudeville act for 2018.
I know, and I'm like, yeah, like that's not even your fault, Mom. That's them. That's them. It was actually, I looked up in the trivia. It was actually going to be called Purge Island, which would have been a cool name. But yeah.
Oh man, they probably wanted to make sure that people understood it was a prequel.
Yeah.
Like I understand calling it the first Purge as a prequel, but at the same time, yes, very confusing.
Oh yeah. It was great.
Oh
Like
man.
it didn't click that it was a confusing name until she was like, "Oh, you're going to see the new one tonight?" And we were like, "Oh no. What have you done, Purge? What have you done?" But yeah.
Well, if I can continue our movie trend, this is a very movie-centric episode. We haven't
I
done
know.
one of these.
And
It's mostly video games.
I was going to gush about Kirby. I don't know. We'll
get
have
to
to
that
wait for
eventually.
that.
We'll get to that probably next week. But
Exactly.
this is Dayle and Zack fix the movies tonight. Which if that ain't the title of this episode, I don't know what is at
It'll
this
be
point.
the title of the episode, Zack, I
But
promise.
so to take you from the first to the last, segue
Nice.
that I'm going to point out and ruin.
Nice.
I rewatched The Last Jedi this week, which I hadn't done since it came out in December. So, and I knew I did that very much on purpose. I mean, I just got lucky that it happened to also go up onto Netflix this month. But I rewatched The Last Jedi, and exactly what I thought was going to happen happened, which was I liked it way better the second time when I knew that like I could watch it and have the pacing in my head and I could really watch things because I wasn't sitting in a theater. As much as I like going and seeing movies in theaters, which is great, I also like just my English major side is that I'm constant. I like rewatching things and then breaking down shit. Yeah.
Oh, I totally get that.
As a film student, you would also.
Yeah, exactly.
So, actually, speaking of great theater experiences, before I get into Last Jedi and completely derail my segue,
Oh God.
I don't have a theater story like you do. I don't think anyone does at this point. But did I ever tell you about the when I went to go see Get Out when it came out? Like the theater experience I had with that? It's not
No.
like major, but so when I went to go, most of the movie theaters that I have to go to are like an hour away from me. I got one in town and they have one screen and it's very nice, but it's usually at this point whatever Disney movie is coming out.
Yeah, you've mentioned
Between
that.
Star Wars, Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to go 45 minutes to an hour away to go see a movie. So I have to time that, and I don't always do that very well. so I get to the next town over. I get to the movie theater. I pay for my ticket, and I realize, okay, the movie technically started like 5 minutes ago. Just really hoping that there's trailers still playing, so I haven't missed anything. So
Yeah.
I walk in. It's pitch black. Pitch black. There's no. I mean, the way the theater is set up, I mean, it's just there's very little like light runners or anything. I mean, there's the two staircases on the side. It's not a big theater, so I have no idea how many people are in this room with me. I have no idea where I can sit. I literally just get to the end of a row and sit down because there's an empty seat there, and the movie has just started. Like just started. When I went and saw it a second time, realized that I literally missed nothing, which was
Oh, that's good.
way got things right off my shoulders. But it made for this amazing viewing experience where I'm watching this movie with a completely unknown number of people around me reacting to everything going on in that movie. And so, like, I mean, that movie is, you know, it's scary and it's funny and it's tense. And it was just like every time something happened, it was just this like wave of voices out of inky blackness, like laughing and screaming and all this stuff. It was amazing. It was like the best way I could have watched that movie, to be
That
honest.
is that.
It was
I'm
so good.
slightly jealous of that experience. That's super cool.
Especially because you walk in and it's a very quiet
Yeah.
opening scene. It's a very quiet nighttime suburban street scene, which meant that like, I mean, and that was like the first indication, like, oh, there's gonna be a good crowd. I walked in and it was dead silent.
That's cool.
Dead
Yeah.
silent as I walk in there. I just like did that little crouch run you do when you're running through a dark theater. And I was like, get me a seat, get me a seat. I don't want to interrupt anything. So that was whereas probably going to see Last Jedi was here in town, was with a bunch of people that I know, and again, exciting to react to that and everything, but a very small theater for a Star Wars experience. Star Wars feels like something you should see in a huge crowd, and we only fit like 100 people in my theater.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really small. It's like 10 rows of 10 or 12 or whatever. But yeah, but I remember watching it that night, and I had actually just watched Force Awakens right before it, and so the pacing difference really threw me off. And the story changes and all that, and so I was very uneven about it for a very long time. And so I told myself, okay, give it a few months, watch it again, watch it on your own, do whatever nerdy stuff you usually do when you watch movies by yourself, and then maybe it will be different. And it was. It was much better the second time. Starting with the fact that I thought that movie was like more than 3 hours long.
Well, it feels
And I think it's because, well, that's just it. It didn't the second time. And I think part of that is because there was like a half hour of trailers before.
Well, yeah.
Like it was 3 hours of sitting in a theater, getting there early and then trailers and then the movie starting. So like all of that. But like even the scenes that felt really long didn't feel as long the second time, including that opening scene. That opening scene is actually the longest in the whole movie. With him,
when
with
Poe,
Poe is on the phone with yeah. Here's the thing: that whole
General
sequence is
Hux.
less than that. Hugs, yes, hugs, is less than
Said
5 minutes.
Hux.
Is it Hux or Hugs? I
It's,
kept
it's
hearing
Hux.
Hugs.
It's an X. Maybe I
No,
said Hugs.
gee.
I don't know
No,
how to talk.
It's because I want it to be Hugs. But that whole scene is less than 5 minutes.
I
It
don't
felt
believe
so much
you.
longer. No, because here's the thing: the scene from the opening like title card to the destruction of the dreadnought, like that whole opening sequence, is 12 minutes and is the longest scene in the whole movie until you get to the second half.
Yeah.
Because everything else is like 5 and 6 minutes and bouncing back and forth and all of that. But that actual conversation is less than 5 minutes.
Jeez.
And that's,
Wow.
less than 5 minutes of film time, which would have included the title cards and the opening crawl. So probably only 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
But I remember it feeling way longer.
well, that's the thing too. Like you said that you know the pacing and everything. Like you know what's gonna happen. So of course, concept of time is
Right.
smaller because you're like, oh, this is gonna happen now, and this is gonna happen. So it makes sense.
Right.
I
and
can't
and
watch
the other one was you really should, even if you have to get drunk to do it. Like everybody should give
okay.
it a second try. I mean, because the other long scene that I remember a lot of people not liking is the casino planet, which I
Oh.
absolutely love. I love that sequence.
Oh, I love that. That's the
that is
best
less
part
than-
of the
That's
movie.
less than 10 minutes in the whole movie. In a whole 2.5 hour movie, there are two scenes on that planet.
Mhm.
One is 3 minutes and one is 7. And yes, I counted.
Oh yeah, no, that is for me. That is the best part of that movie. I love that scene.
That is the
those
best part of that movie
scenes.
because it
Like-
sets up exactly what Ryan Johnson is trying to say
Yeah.
really well. Like it really, and Benicio del Toro is perfect. Like
Oh, yeah.
as well. Like he's really great. My problem rewatching it the second time, and I think I felt this the first time, but I can finally kind of put it into words, is that Finn's story is lacking another side to it,
Oh yeah.
which is that like I think you're supposed to get out of the idea like that he fails. They fail, and they're the reason that that they start getting that Laura Dern has to sacrifice herself basically because she has to turn around and shove her ship into the other ship is because they have failed, and now they are tracking the escape pods instead of the larger ship. And I get that. I like that idea that they were like, we're going to go do the super heroic thing and fail miserably. The problem is they never take 5 minutes for Finn to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
There is never a point at which someone has to where Finn has to stop for 5 minutes and actually like feel the gravity of what has happened.
Well, because
And
then.
then later on, he tries to sacrifice himself into the drill, which I think is a scene which I think the movie was trying to not only hold up against like Laura Dern's thing, but like they were trying to mirror that, and it was supposed to be him, like sort of like making up for what happened. The problem is there's nothing in between where he's like where he feels bad, and so like there's not really a lot of thought process to his side of the story.
Well, yeah, because doesn't
like it
he?
just feels like there's something missing.
Yeah, doesn't he immediately? Yeah, because it's that scene where she shoots herself through the thing, and then
They get on the ship.
they meet up? Don't they meet up with Rey like very shortly after?
Well, no. Then they get to then he meets up with. He gets back to Poe because they steal the ship to get back to the rebels.
So then
they get into the rebel base. You have the big, and then you have the big rebel, the salt planet fight.
Yeah. Okay.
So there is no time.
Yeah, no.
There's nothing in between that for Finn. So it's not like he lands and then says to Poe, "Oh my God, look what we've done,"
Yeah,
which is what should have happened.
He gets his freaking bro time with Poe, and it's like, no, I don't even no, you don't get that. You don't get that time. Like, come on.
Yeah, Leia should be pissed at them. Someone should be pissed at them.
Yeah.
Someone should be pissed at them that this happened because it's entirely their fault. And like that would be great storytelling if they had like one scene where they were like, by the way, you fucked up. You fucked up, and now you need to figure out how you unfuck up and figure out what you're gonna do next. And then Finn goes, well, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna fight, and I'm gonna sacrifice myself because that's what Laura Dern did, and I need to be the hero that she was.
Yeah.
And then Rose is like, no, that's not how we like all of that would fit with just one scene. That is the one thing that still makes me mad about that movie. Everything else, though, great top to bottom. I loved it all. Someone pointed out, like I was looking at different things about it, that like when Rey is training with the lightsaber and the rock, that later on, those are the exact same moves that Luke uses as he's messing with, that Kylo uses actually on Luke, but they don't work because Luke isn't there. But like she's mirrored, that's all mirrored. There's a lot of great storytelling going on in that movie that gets drowned out by the crap that surrounds that movie, I think.
I get that. But, like, yeah, it's one that I don't know. Rogue One completely ruined a lot for me, and then Last Jedi happened, and I'm just like, this is Force Awakens was so good, and now we have this, and like Leia can't die.
That was the
question
other thing.
mark.
Okay, sorry.
Like,
that was the other thing. That was a scene that I think could be. I understand that scene. It just wasn't done right. Is probably the best way to talk about that.
It was just frustrating. Well, now I want to hear from a fresh point. Like, so now you are okay with this scene? Were you not okay with this scene?
Let me think. I still think I was not. I was never against the scene. I was always against the execution of it.
Okay.
Because the idea that Leia is force sensitive is not beyond the pale. That's not
of course not.
And the fact that she never trained with it, so she doesn't use it all the time and all that. Sure, I get that.
Yes.
And the idea that like instinctually, if you want to think about the force as being a part of you and everything, and like so force sensitive people having, you know, it's like an extension of their body. So like the idea that she is dying and the force kicks in as like a survival instinct and saves her, I get that. It was the opening of her eyes and the drift and like her hand stretching out and all of that. Like that didn't make any sense to me. I don't know how you do that scene though to show that the force is like bringing her back or something. Like that's the other thing is I don't know how you fix that scene either.
Not have it happen.
I mean that's the other thing is you could just not have it happen. Because it's not like it's not like it comes up later. It's not like we needed that scene to understand why Luke can talk to her from across the freaking galaxy.
No.
So
the way it would have been better is like, okay, better being a very loose term because it's just so that whole thing would have been so much more impactful had Leia died. Like had that been the end of like pretty much the original Star Wars people.
Mm.
And like if that was the end of, Luke and Leia, and Han is gone, all of these people are gone, and it's like just a fresh load of crap and like craziness. Crap being a relatively good term in this situation. But like it would have meant so much more had she died, because like think of what Kylo had to do in that situation. Like he still had light in him, and that was the one thing that would have helped him, and it's like, oh god, that's hard to fucking watch, dude. Like
Yeah.
like and it's just, what would have made it better is if it was a surprise, and if it didn't happen the split second, the same instance that she gets pulled out, you know? So if she gets pulled out, everybody's crying in the theater, oh my god, Leia's gone, and we cut, and then we do the whole movie, everybody's thinking she's gone, and then blammo, she's there again, and then you just have like one line be like, or you don't even address it. You don't even address it. You just let it happen, because
Yeah.
anybody who knows Star Wars knows that Leia has some force. She is force sensitive. Like, you know that. You have to know that.
Just by nature of being Luke's sister, like
Yeah.
there's obviously a hereditary thing, like aspect to it. So
Yeah.
obviously she's got something.
A coworker of mine brought up an interesting point, and I think he might have read it somewhere if it was his point, but he was like, I wonder if people would be as upset if Carrie Fisher was still alive.
Also a very good question.
And it's like,
Also a very good question.
yeah. That's interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like, all that said and done, I'm not, like I said, I'm not mad about that scene. It's the execution of the scene that upsets me, but I'm not mad about it. Just like I'm not entirely mad about Finn's story. I think everything that you get of Finn's story is fine. It's just that it's missing something. That I think would have helped elevate it, because the other two stories are all about that we're going to stretch, going, stretching further than you should, failing, and having to deal with those consequences.
Yeah.
And it just feels like Finn's story just doesn't have the consequences everybody else does. And it sucks, because I think that's where a lot of the shit with Rose comes in, because she's great that entire movie. She's not only great that entire movie, she's the one making Finn do shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like she's a great character that got locked into the weakest part of that movie.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It sucks, because she deserved better.
She's like the one reason why I would want to watch it again. She's not the only reason, actually. The Snoke, the Red Room. Is it the Red Room?
Oh God,
Is that what
it
you would
was
call
so
it?
good.
That
Yes.
scene is so good.
Yes, because it sounds like a Twin Peaks reference. It's great.
It also sounds like a 50 Shades of Grey reference.
Oh God. Well, if you live on the internet,
I'm sorry.
there are plenty of people that would put Rey and Kylo in that situation.
Oh,
Anyway.
I know.
Oh God.
Reylo?
That, by the way, I was so happy, by the way, again, to watch that and just remember just how blatantly they just like threw that away. It was just like, yeah, by the way, no, he's also just a terrible human being at the end of all of that. Oh my God, he might have light in him. He might have light in him. No, he just wants to be supreme ruler on his own and have no one to answer to. Sorry.
I love Kylo Ren. I don't care.
Oh man, he's a great character, but I
Yep,
think he's a
him.
great evil character.
I think he is good. Even if he is not good, I still love him.
You okay with it?
No. Continue talking about Star Wars.
Okay. But I mean, that being said, so Poe's story I think was the one that threw me the most the first time I watched it, because it's the slowest. It's the slowest of them. It's not the weakest. It's still very strong, but it is the one where there's less happening for most of that time, because they're just kind of drifting in space. And so the first time I watched it, I remember a lot of those scenes feeling like they were kind of draggy. But again, I think knowing more about Laura Dern the second time really, like, you rewatch those scenes differently, and kind of knowing what that idea is like, oh, that's right, she's gonna plan and Poe's being an idiot. Poe's not wrong. That's the best part of that story, is that he's not wrong that like they should have been told at least a little bit more. But at the same time, he is being an idiot because like he's just like not trusting in the people around him, and he's too much like we need to get into the fight instead of we need to strategize. And I think that works out really well too. I didn't have a problem with that story the second time for so again because the scenes also felt so much quicker.
Yeah. I just like I just I will watch it again. I will give it its time. I will not give Rogue One the time, but I'll give Last Jedi the time because there are legitimately things about it that I do like. But it's like Poe, like the character of Poe in Force Awakens and the character of Poe, and maybe you can shed some light on this because you have seen it a second time and you do have the different opinions. Like he's just a different character, and it's like you're just an idiot. Like you're just a jerk. You're just like, yeah, maybe you are right, but the way you're doing it, you're like, I don't know. And then you have Rey. Like from what I remember, we barely see Rey. We see more of Finn and Rose than we do Rey.
I'm actually going to tell you this right now. By
like,
doing the count, there is more Finn and there is more Rey in the first half of that movie.
Is
at least.
there really?
Yeah, her and Luke, and
wow.
it's also because
Okay.
it gets mixed in with her talking to Kylo and stuff. But yeah, she is actually, I would say it's like a 60-40 split
It
of
doesn't.
mostly
Okay.
Rey and Luke
All right.
before you get.
So then
But
I
the
will
thing is,
watch it
but
again.
yeah, because the other
because
thing is that's the first half of the movie. The other thing is that, or the first hour and a half, because once you get to the last hour, which is when Laura Dern, crashes the ship and everything, and all those stories start to come together. That's also where you get the throne room fight
mm-hmm.
and everything. So after that is when you start to get the battle and everything. So you probably do see them a little bit more, but Rey is definitely like in that movie more than the rest of them.
Okay.
When you actually like do the count to it. I
That
think
is-
it's that her scenes. I think the thing is though, her part of that movie is the strongest acted and the strongest storytelling, and so I think you just like you can get through that story and feel it, as opposed to the other two that kind of drag out because it's the stuff that's a little bit weaker. I think that's why the other stuff feels like there's more to it, is because they're just not as strongly acted and told as well as the Rey and Luke and Kylo stuff.
Mm.
I think that's why it feels like that.
Hmm.
Because I think I felt that too. Like I felt that it would be a fairly even split, and then I was like, no, there's way more of Rey and Luke in this than I realized.
Maybe it's because like I just don't. I don't like Finn's character. I really don't. And
I've
and
been
maybe
trying
it's
to wrestle
and
with that too.
like I love John Boyega. I love him. He's great in the Pacific Rim, the new Pacific Rim movie. Like
Right.
I love him. But it's just like the character of Finn just feels very whiny, and it's like
Yeah, they
he's
don't know
more
what to do
whiny.
with him
Yeah,
for some reason.
exactly. Like he's
Yeah.
kind of just there as that stormtrooper who turns good. Like, and it's just like, people always complain that, and this is gonna be weird, but like people always say that Anakin and like Luke to a degree are whiny. Finn is way whinier than either one of them combined. I'm just
No,
putting,
no.
I'm just
Let's
saying
not
it.
knock Hayden
I don't
Christensen
care.
off his throne on that one.
No,
But
I love
they're
it.
whiny in different ways.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true. But it's just like
But no, you're right. You're right in that like Finn goes through in Force Awakens goes through that whole arc of trying to run away to very stupidly like and then it's like, well, he gets connected to Rey because he's attracted to her clearly, and then like wants to show off for her, and then largely gets over that to the point where he just wants to be a hero of some kind. And then as soon as like Last Jedi starts, it's like all of that arc kind of is erased, and he's like, which to a point is understandable because of how quickly. I mean, it starts literally right after, and so the idea that he would wake up and be freaking out because he fell in the middle of a fight and trying to figure out what's going on, is that he would be kind of obsessed with trying to figure out what happened to Rey and all that. I get that for about 5 minutes.
yeah.
Again, I would add in a 2-minute scene where he talks to Poe and he talks to Leia and he says, "What the hell is going on? I thought, where is Rey? What's this? And they explain to him what's going on, and all he has to do is go, okay, cool. What do we do now? And then it just completely divorced that shit from from this like running away scared thing that he was not supposed to be after Force Awakens.
Exactly. That's very true. I hadn't thought of it that way. I thought it was just my dislike of Finn, but like
I think it's well, I think
now
it's the
that
fact
you
that
say
like
it,
I think it's the fact that they didn't grow his character in any way the
yeah,
second time
no,
out.
because now that you say it, like as you were explaining that, I was like remembering back to Force Awakens and what I liked about it. Him with BB-8 is always great. All of Finn and BB-8 interactions are hilarious and fantastic. And when he grabs that lightsaber at the end of Force Awakens, and like, it's so cool. It's like
Right, like he's
it's
clearly
such
got a willingness.
cool.
He's
He
clearly
has
got
that
a willingness
yeah,
to.
that's true.
Yeah, a will.
That's,
Clearly got the willingness to fight, to go in and save people that need saving. Because he even does that when the castle is under siege.
yeah, yep.
Yes, he's trying to find Rey and save Rey, but he's out there fighting other people because other people are in danger. Like Han helps him fight. So it's this idea that like all of a sudden he wakes up and it's like, well, nope, now I need to go find Rey and so I can
Now
get
I'm
her as far away
terrified.
from this as possible. It's like, why? Why would you do that?
Huh. Wow. Thanks for reminding me that I actually did like Finn at the end of that movie, and he was not the same character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So sorry, Ryan Johnson.
Huh.
I like you. I just think that you winged it on Finn. So much else of the rest of the movie is great, I think, but I think you wanged it when it came to Finn's
All right.
character.
I will. I
So-
will. I will give an effort to watch it again. I'll sit through it again.
Yay!
and
I did
see
it.
and see if that literally is what did it for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like remembering the end of Force Awakens and how he was so different at the end of that into this movie. Yeah, that's what did it for me. So good job, Zach. You did it. You
Because
made me
otherwise,
wanna
like,
watch
even with him-
Last Jedi again.
Yeah, because even with him just kind of following Rose through the rest of that story, like the purpose of him is that he knows the layout when they get to the destroyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's his whole. So he doesn't need to do anything except follow Rose and get that. So like even if you want to say that at the end of Force Awakens, he still hadn't fully committed to that idea of like joining the rebels and doing something as opposed to just running away. Like that they had a really good story for that arc. And again, you just don't see any of him conflicted on any of that. He is just doing stuff because I don't know. He's just doing stuff because he thinks that's what he's supposed to do, as opposed to like learning that it's not even what he's supposed to do. It's like he feels obligated to be a hero without actually like learning the like hero lessons of why it's a good thing to be a good guy. it's like oh yeah, no, Finn's a good guy, so he's gonna do the stuff that
That's
heroes do, and he's gonna just kind of follow he's gonna follow whatever orders he's gonna be told to follow, and not make too many decisions for himself that aren't selfish and cowardly. And it's like there's no point where the movie makes him learn that that's a bad thing. So who knows?
Well,
JJ's
there we
coming
go.
back for episode 9 now
Yeah.
because Colin Trevorrow apparently can't do anything but play with dinosaurs anymore. So
Wow.
well, 'cause he was the one that was really supposed to do 9, and then I don't know if he didn't expect. I don't know if like the conflict was with Fallen Kingdom that he left. I have no idea why he's not doing episode 9 anymore. But he left, and they brought in J.J. Abrams instead. And this was all before Last Jedi came out, so I hesitate to say that there was any like Disney was concerned about the story for Last Jedi or anything like that. I don't think it was that at all. I think it's just. I think that when Colin Trevorrow left, they went, oh God, who do we get? Well, JJ made a good one. Go grab JJ again. So
Hey, I mean,
he's not doing anything unless there's another Cloverfield he wants to throw out there. And
you just sounded like your brother.
I know.
Like exactly to a T. Just sounded like your brother. From the last episode of
Secretly,
Sayre
that's the reason I'm afraid to do a podcast with him, because no one will ever be able to tell us apart for an hour.
It was the fact of your voice, but then it was also you directly saying, unless he wants to do another Cloverfield.
Oh God, I forgot he said
Because
that.
he says that. And it's like, oh my God. It was like, am I talking to
man.
Sejin right now? I
Yes,
don't
secretly.
think so. Oh God. Well.
So that's been the Say Report Junior for this week. I think we did it. We fixed movies. We fixed movie
We
theaters.
fixed
We fixed
movies.
movies. Fixed the movies in the theaters.
We are heroes tonight.
Traumatized children with trailers.
Almost.
Almost.
Almost traumatized children with trailers.
And then you mentioned Halloween. One day, oh God, one day, maybe closer to Halloween, maybe next week. We don't know.
Oh my God.
We're going to talk about like the Halloween franchise and its continuity because oh God, it's as
That's
bad
gonna
as
be
it's
a
as bad as
you.
Texas Chainsaw. It's as bad as the Texas Chainsaw one. But just think of it this way: anybody that wants to go watch the new Halloween, you literally only have to watch the original Halloween. It is
Yeah, it
completely
seems like
disregarding.
it.
It is completely disregarding even Halloween 2, which takes place on the same night as Halloween 1. They are still disregarding that. It is just a direct sequel to Halloween from 1979.
Well, there you go.
So, but yeah. Um,
Wow.
I think that's gonna do it for this week. I have been uploading videos of our episodes on YouTube. I'm rendering episode 6 right now, so that should be up by the end of the night. And then that way, if for some reason it's, I know Android phones are not like the easiest to get podcasts onto unless you're like, I have an app for it, but there are people out there that just don't have podcasts on their Android phones. That's fine. YouTube is there for you. I'm putting it all in a playlist so you can listen to it.
But Zach, how, if they haven't been able to hear the podcast up until now, can they even know that information?
I don't know. I'm hoping the people with iTunes will turn to their Android friends and say, "Hey, I know you've got a bad phone,
You
but
didn't take my bait. I was trying to do it, and it didn't work.
I don't know what the bait was either." So,
That they could follow us on Twitter at
I was going to get to that
sayreportjr.
next. I was going to get to that next. It's because that was already going out of my head. But
It's okay.
otherwise, you can follow us on Twitter at sayreportjr, and you can follow us individually. I am at Zerwisky.
And I am at Dayle's Brain, and that is Dayle's DaylesBarin.
That's not how you spell brain.
Oh no, it's not. Brain.
There you go.
I spelled Byron.
Baron.
Baron.
Talk to DJ Johnson about it.
Yeah, I will. Call him up right now.
God, take it away, Liz. I think we're done.
I think so
Bye.
too. God.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Say Report with your hosts Dayle Decker and Zack. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.